Good morning, good morning. Can you hear me back there?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, all right. Well, hey, welcome. This is to the CoC University. This is our third session. How many have been here for the first two? How many, this is your first one you've been at? Okay. Well, what you missed, we started this, we actually had a whole training committee that started meeting last, I want to say July. And we put together kind of everything that we need to know as participants in our continuum of care. And so what we did on our first session, we had Homelessness 101 and coordinated entry, how to use the VI SPDAT, diversion. And then we, on day 2, which was in February, we had sensitivity awareness, part 1, housing first, and PAD mission, all right? And so all those first 2 sessions, just like this session here today, is being recorded, and the first 2 sessions are available on the BKRHC website. If you missed it, you can go back there and you can watch those. And the other idea is all of our agencies continue to onboard people, you can refer those people to the website so they can get the training as well. Because the whole goal is to get as many of us trained as possible in everything that we do so we can have a better community. Everybody agree with me on that? Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And so today, just a couple things. Is it warm in here? Yeah. All right. So the air conditioner is on, and it went on about 8 o'clock. So I've been told that it takes a little while for it to eventually kick in. So eventually, if it kicks in and you start getting cold, don't say anything, okay? We'll just leave it at that, all right? And anyway, welcome. My name is Steve Peterson, and I'm the Director of Programs at the Mission of Kern County and the Chair of our CoC Governing Board. And so I just want to thank a few people up front for putting this on. So first of all, let's thank Jeff Oxford over here for hosting us, opening up the facility. I want to thank the BKRHC staff, which is back there. They've been checking you in. And they provided the coffee in the back, the donuts, there's sodas and water, and there will be lunch later. And it's pizza today, right? Pizza, all right? So we got donuts, coffee, pizza. So if you're looking for wheatgrass and tofu, you're in the wrong place. You may have to go down the street. But anyway, that's what we got today, all right? And so anyway, there's a few other things. If you're missing a notebook, there's notebooks right over here. You can pick one up. There's pens. And also there's a little handout that has the other sessions coming up. We will have coming up in the next time we meet, which will be May 25th, we'll be having a great seminar on de-escalation. Because how many know when we work with the clientele that we work with, people can escalate pretty quickly. And how can we calm that down and bring the temperature down? It's a great seminar. It's taught by Kern Behavioral Health. I've had them come in and teach our staff a couple of times on this, and so you're in for a good one on that. Also, we'll get a session on progressive engagement, and that'll be taught by Flood. And then Dr. Traco Matthews and Dr. Varela will be back for sensitivity training part 2, all right? So that's coming up in May, all right? All the other sessions, then we skip to quarter number 3, and that'll be in July and August, and then we'll finish out our year in September and October, okay? And so that's a little bit about what's coming up. And so right now, our session today, we're going to have a great session on harm reduction, trauma-informed care, and a little bit on ACE. Everybody know what ACE stands for? Well, you'll find out today if you don't, all right? And so it's a great course. It's a great information. We actually teach a whole course on the ACE, called ACE Overcomers at the Mission of Kern County. And so you're in for a treat today on that. And so today's session is going to be taught by Perla Davis, and I'm going to welcome her up here in just a second. Perla is a certified trauma-informed care trainer with the Kern County Superintendent of Schools. Prior to working with the Superintendent of Schools, she worked for 15 years in child welfare as an investigator, forensic interviewer, trainer, and a supervisor. She holds a bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree in counseling. She is also an adjunct professor of psychology at Bakersfield College and has trained many community organizations on trauma-informed care and trauma recovery. So without any further ado, let's welcome Perla Davis.
It's a little high here.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, right there. Let's see if I can do that. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. How is everybody doing? Thank you for being here. Thank you for signing up to come to this training. You were either voluntold to come to this training, or you wanted to learn something, and I appreciate you for being here. So, like Steve mentioned, I work for the Superintendent of Schools, and I am housed with Community Connection for Childcare. How many of you have heard of our wonderful program? So I run a program that helps pay for childcare for foster children. And the reason why I am housed there is because my program has, it pays for childcare, but primarily I train on trauma-informed care. And I've been doing that for the last 4 years. And I have with me my coworker, also with the Superintendent of Schools, Allison Baptiste, and you can wave. She's a very well-known face, right, in the homeless collaborative community. And so she will be here if you have any specific questions related to homelessness. So I will be dealing with the trauma-informed care portion of it. Have any of you been to my trainings before? Yeah, I thought I saw some familiar faces. I also offer some trainings on self-care and the metabolizing of trauma and stress. So if your agencies, I'll give my information at the end if you're interested, then I can come to your agencies and do that. I did that for the probation department on Tuesday, and I spoke to some students at CSUB on Saturday. So, okay, guys, let's get started. So one of the learning objectives, so when you leave today, and I'm gonna give you this training as if you have never heard about trauma-informed care. For those of you, I saw the many hands go up. A lot of you already know, you've gone to various trainings, but to get everybody on board with the same information, I'm gonna share it as if you've never heard it before, right? So my hope is that you leave here knowing a simple definition of trauma. The next thing is you'll be able to describe some of the behaviors, some of the impacts of trauma, because we know, this isn't Perla Davis saying, this is science saying, that about 82% of brain development happens in 0 to 5. And it impacts us forever, long term. And this is important to know. So I'm going to walk you through what trauma looks like from infancy to adulthood, because some of you are going to be dealing with the whole family, different ages, okay? And you'll be able to describe that effect on development, on emotions, on behavior, and recognize your role, and most importantly, recognize the opportunities in enhancing child and family resiliency. A lot of us have experienced some of this ourselves. It's not a coincidence, right? A lot of us that have experienced childhood trauma, we tend to gravitate toward the helping professions. Why do we do that? Including myself. Why do we do that? Why do we think that we gravitate to these helping fields? We understand. Thank you. Give this guy a... You'll enjoy my training because if you're engaged, if you say, we understand, you get a prize. Yes, we understand it. We have been through it. We've been through some stuff. And now we made it. We are in a position where we have resiliency. And so we can turn back to those that are over here struggling and say, hey, hold on to my hand. Come on. I'll pull you up. I'll lift you up. I know how to do it because I went through A, B, C, D, right? And so what we often think, and we incorrectly think, is that people that have experienced trauma, oh, they're screwed up. Oh, I don't know about their trajectory, about where they will end up. And look at us, all of us here. We were there. We made it. And most often we had what? We had one caring adult that really, really made a difference. And so if you ever get discouraged and think, oh, I'm not really making a difference, you are. You're literally changing the trajectory that this person would have had if not for your direct caring, direct intervention. So you're having a huge, huge impact. And we will see the ripples later. We've all had a very, very stressful time, right? For me, it was March 18th of 2020. For me, it was the closing of the schools that did it. How many of you are parents? The closing of school did it for me. My body was hit with high levels of cortisol, because we know cortisol is a stress hormone. When I was told, pick up your daughter, when I saw my supervisor, hey, everybody, like, we got to close shop. We got to go. And in our building, we have like 50 superintendents meeting. I work at the Larry Ryder Center, so they were all meeting in the first floor. And we would kind of sneak by and see, try to ear hustle. Are they closing schools? What's going on? And so finally about 2, they said, yeah, go pick up your kiddos. It's over, right? And so that was the beginning of a lot of stress for a lot of us, right? Our world experienced and is still experiencing a worldwide pandemic. And then for those of us that have ACEs or adverse childhood experiences, that was just, here you go, another gift that the universe gave us. What happened? Well, we found ourselves with our spouses at home with those stay-at-home orders, looking at them and saying, I love you, but do I like you? We found ourselves looking at our kids. Or our spouses looked at us. We all had, a lot of us, I know I did, the pandemic 20. Yeah. So what do you think happened to divorce?
Skyrocket.
Yeah, what happened to suicide rates? Okay, so what happens when you remove people's coping mechanisms? Okay, so is it fair to say that we have a lot of people that have a lot of exposure, have had a lot of exposure to toxic stress? Yes. So this is just us, that we have a job, we go to work every day, we can pretty much say, you know what, I have food, I have clothing, I have a shelter. Now, think of those that were already in a very, very vulnerable situation. Okay. So I'm also going to share how you can best use trauma-informed care concepts for service delivery. And I'm going to share a lot of techniques with you. So what is trauma? Trauma is a life-threatening or a frightening experience for a child or someone for whom the child cares that overwhelms the capacity to cope. For a child also for an adult. We know that children don't stay children forever, correct? They grow up. I have a 10-year-old, and we had her 10th birthday party last week, and I looked at her and I thought, when did this happen? When did you turn 10? How is it that you're almost taller than me? Right? Children don't stay children. They grow up, right? They become adults. And oftentimes, if the trauma happened during their childhood, it will impact them as adults. I'm sure all of you would raise your hand if I asked, have you ever had an interaction with a client or even family members, and they go from 0 to 60 because of the trauma that they experienced? Their brain was impacted. And so now you're just asking a simple question. Where were you at last night? Or, how come you didn't answer your call? Because a lot of children that have experienced trauma, like I mentioned, what's the percentage of brain development? In the 80s, 0 to 5. So if they weren't taught how to deal with those emotions, if they weren't connected to that social emotional learning, it's going to show up when they're adults and they're walking in your office. You are going to have a lot of hurt people walking in your office that don't know the difference between hunger, pain, or sadness. To them, it feels the same. So their reaction to a simple question is going to look oftentimes the same. And if they're in fight mode at that moment, if their brain tells them the environment is not safe for you right now, because this happens to all of us, right? We scan a room. When I walked in, my brain did something that does every time I walk into a room, and it does this quick millisecond scan of the room, and I know where all the exits are. How many of you? Maybe you're not aware of that. And then what you do is you choose, your brain tells you, okay, this is a place where you will feel the safest. Oftentimes, a lot of us will sit in the back. Why? Because we feel the safest there. We can see everyone. We have control of our environment, right? We sit in the back because we're able to see everything. Oh, if something goes down, I'm getting the heck out of here, right? Or your brain sends that signal. And your brain signals to you, fight, flight, run out of here, or freeze. Because if you freeze, nobody's going to see that you're here. You're going to survive this. And then we have the fourth response. It also starts with an F. Yeah. Fawn response. You see a lot in females or children that lived in a home where there's domestic violence. Okay. The word trauma means wound, means pain, hurt. And it's not entirely about the event, it's about the response. And about half of us, research says that about half of us have experienced at least one traumatic event. So here are the types of trauma. Acute trauma, this is a single incident. This is experiencing those earthquakes in East Kern. How many of you are from East Kern? Remember a few years ago? I had to go out there because I had very traumatized people. They wanted me to do a training for stress reduction because the aftershock of the earthquake was enough to put them back in a traumatic stress response. It's also, how many of you have been in a car accident? That could have caused some trauma. Chronic trauma, this is multiple traumatic events over a longer period of time. So for some of us, if we lived in a home where there was domestic violence, another one is what we are experiencing now, except our body's a little more numb to it, living through a pandemic. Do you think that we're going to have some long-term effects from this? Yeah, we're seeing some of it now in our children. Complex trauma, this is a trauma that is most harming, I think, because it is caused by those that we're supposed to care for children. They're causing the trauma or not protecting from the trauma. It's often parents, or whoever that caregiver is, because we know that sometimes it's other people raising children, grandparents, foster parents, whoever it is raising that child. Okay, the fourth is what a lot of us in the helping field need to watch out for: vicarious trauma, secondary trauma, taking the trauma of another, taking that pain of theirs and making it yours. And if you're not engaged in metabolizing that stress, you are carrying a lot with you, and it's going to impact you in your relationships. So Steve mentioned I work for Child Protective Services for 15 years. A lot of those 15 years, 9 of those years, I was the lead Spanish forensic interviewer. So as a forensic interviewer, you're trained in a very specific way of asking questions to children, typically of sexual abuse, so that they can tell their story without you leading, right? Because they're video and audio recorded, and then they're sent to the DA's office, or the detective takes that recording that you did, and they use it for prosecution. And it's also, what I love the most about doing my forensic interviews is it's to keep the child from being re-victimized and telling the story over and over again. And oftentimes, it would keep them from getting on the stand. Imagine having a 6-year-old on the stand testifying and his perpetrator is there. How scary is that, right? So, do you think I experienced some vicarious trauma? I did, but I didn't know until I left. Oftentimes you don't see it until you're out of the environment. And something crazy happened, and Allison also used to work for CPS, and I think she'll agree with me. Let me know if I'm crazy or not. But I got to my office at the superintendent of schools, and it was wonderful. I had no stress. And my body started to feel a little, this doesn't feel right. What do you think I was experiencing? I was experiencing a withdrawal. You can have withdrawal. You crave that adrenaline. You crave that call of someone calling you saying, hey, come to this hotel. There's somebody overdosed. We need to take the children, or da-da-da-da-da. There's a dead child, and you drop everything and you go. And this is ongoing for 15 years. So when I found myself in my comfy little office on the 3rd floor of the Larry Ryder building, looking out the window, all my dreams fulfilled, I want an office with a window. Here you go. I want it out where I can stay and read on church. Here you go. I want a big desk. Here you go. And yet I was still wanting to go back, because that's what my body was used to. Does this make sense? So when you think about trauma and you think about that family, that person sitting in front of you, and you're frustrated and thinking, I am giving you the best resources. I am giving you this. I'm giving you that. Look, we got you a vehicle so you can move your family around. I got you an interview. What is going on? All you have to do is show up for that interview. The job is yours. Do you get it? You make a connection. Here you're providing them all these wonderful opportunities, but their body says what? I want to be over here. Because their body has a lifetime of being over here, right? And then oftentimes we know of people, family members, clients, friends, that get into relationships and you think, wow, I am so proud of you, sister. You found an awesome guy. He loves you. He nurtures you. He builds you up. And next thing you know, they're broken up. She loved him, and she went back to this other guy that beats her. Why? Because it feels safe, because it's home. Okay, and then we also have historical or intergenerational transgenerational trauma. This is trauma passed from parent to child. This can be for many, many generations. This happens through a process. If you want to write this down, I teach also a historical and intergenerational trauma workshop, and I go into the epigenetic transmission of trauma. But research shows, can anybody guess how many generations trauma is believed to be transmitted? How many? Somebody said 3, somebody said 4, somebody said 5, 10. Research shows that it's what your parents did. That's one generation. Grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, great-great-great-great-great, and it can go on, right? 7 generations. What you do today, does it matter? Yes. It matters. It matters. So I'll tell you a little story where I have seen this in real life, in myself and in my family. My mother was attacked by a pack of rabid dogs when she was 3 years old. And thankfully, she survived. She still has some scarring in her face. She had to have tetanus shots. I mean, this was in the 40s. My mother is 80, she'll be 83 this year. And so she grew up. Do you think she wanted to be near dogs? No, absolutely not. And then she has me. I mean, she had 8 others. I'm the youngest of 9. She has me. Do you think me and my siblings have this crazy fear of dogs? Yes. Yes, we do. And did anything happen? Was I? So then I have my daughter, and she also has this crazy fear of dogs. Do you see the transmission there? Okay. And we have a dog. We have a Yorkie. Was it easy? No. Guys, this was like a 4-year process of knowing that this was transgenerational, this fear. And so it started with exposure to dog pictures, videos of dog pictures, going to visit friends who had dogs, staying in a very far away place, going to the SPCA, donating dog food. It was a systematic, approach till finally we found this little Yorkie that doesn't even bark. So when we went, they said, this one is quiet, this one doesn't bark, he wouldn't make a good guard dog. Okay, we'll take him. So we were able to identify it, and once you identify it, you can tame it. You're aware, okay, this is what's going on. And then you can overcome it. And trauma it just continues unless it's healed. In generational trauma, keep going, like I mentioned, it's through the passage, through the stress hormones, signals to the genes that the environment is hostile and it's unsafe. And this has an epigenetic quality, has an impact on the genes. And the epigenetic structure of the gene changes. Okay. Complex trauma, this happens to children 0 to 5 by, like I mentioned, the caregiver oftentimes, and it is most damaging. And I use a lot of the examples of kids, like I mentioned, kids grow up and then you get them in your office. Now they're adults. But so that you can better understand, I'm not just going to give you that tip of the iceberg. We have to go deeper, and I hope that you're willing to go deeper with me. And I do want to mention, if any of this is hitting really close to home, feel free to take care of yourself. Do what you need to do. If it means going out, taking a break, being distracted, looking at something else, I'm okay with that, because your safety is most important. Because you cannot retain information, people don't, if you are feeling unsafe. Okay, so do what you need to do to take care of yourself. Okay. So the question for you is, why is trauma, and I kind of gave you the answer already, important under the age of 5? Because a lot of brain wiring occurs, and it interferes with our brain development. And this leads to behavioral changes, not just in children, in adults too. So now you have these families in front of you, and you have these great resources, or the common one, you have an appointment with them and they don't show up. Does this ring a bell? It's a trauma response. So I'm going to talk to you, I'm not going to talk to you about this. We have a great video that talks about adverse childhood experiences, and I think it's better explained in this video, and then we will talk about the video, okay?
What does your parents' divorce have to do with your risk for heart disease? If your mother had a drinking problem when you were growing up, are you more likely to suffer from depression as an adult? Here's what you should know about ACEs. ACEs stand for Adverse Childhood Experiences, extremely stressful events that can happen to a child growing up. Some experiences are so stressful that they can alter brain development, as well as the immune system, increasing the risk of lifelong health and social problems in adulthood. The term comes from the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, landmark research that shed new light on the root cause of everything from stroke and liver disease to substance abuse and mental illness. In the late 1990s, an epidemiologist from the Centers for Disease Control and a preventive medicine doctor at Kaiser Permanente set out to understand the association between childhood experience and lifelong health. They asked over 17,000 people in the Kaiser Health Plan in San Diego about their health history, as well as difficult questions about their experiences growing up. Anda and Felitti tallied up 10 different kinds of adversity in this largely middle-class and college-educated population. They were stunned to see how common ACEs were. 21% of all respondents were sexually abused as children. 19% grew up with someone who suffered mental illness. 28% had been physically abused. And 2 out of 3 respondents had experienced at least one ACE. The researchers next looked at how someone's ACE score, or the number of adversities they experienced, related to a wide array of serious health and social problems. They saw that the more ACEs someone had, the greater their risk for poor outcomes compared with someone with no ACEs. Someone with an ACE score of 4 had twice the risk of heart disease and cancer. Someone with an ACE score of 5 had an 8 times greater chance of being an alcoholic. And those with an ACE score of 6 or more, on average, died 20 years earlier. With every major problem they looked at in the ACE study, the risk went up for each additional adverse experience in childhood. As Dr. Robert Anda says, what's predictable is preventable. It's important to remember that ACEs are not destiny. ACEs are a tool for understanding the health of a population as a whole. For individuals, an ACE score can be a tool for understanding their own risk for health and social problems and empower them to make changes for themselves and their children. ACEs tend to get passed down from generation to generation and are common across all income levels, races, and cultures. But increasingly, people of all different professions and backgrounds are coming together to discuss how ACEs affect their communities. They're finding new ways to treat and prevent ACEs. Many doctors are starting to screen their patients for ACEs as part of their medical history. More schools are becoming trauma-informed, considering the source of problem behavior when disciplining their students, instead of immediately suspending or expelling them. To learn more about interrupting the cycle of adversity and improving health and well-being for the next generation, please visit kpjrfilms.co.
Any questions? Have any of you seen this video before? I think it does a really good job in summarizing it in an easy way to understand. So it's no surprise. You're not going to get a family coming to you with no ACEs. It's rare, right? You're going to get someone that has experienced some hurt, some trauma. And normally, I like to show this pyramid because it shows you can take a screenshot, how it's impacted. So you have the adversity, then it impacts what? Our neurodevelopment. Neurodevelopment impacts social, emotional, and cognitive skills. So an example would be, kiddo is at school and they're working on their timetables, right? And kiddo A is mastering, working really hard, but they are stuck on their 3 timetables. Everyone else is moving on to their 5, their 6 timetables. Kiddo now is frustrated because all his peers are over here and they're working so hard. Why? Because trauma impacted his brain, his learning brain, so he's having a hard time with retention. And math is one of those things that you have to what? You have to master one thing before you move on to the next one, right? And so now all of the peers are ahead. Now they're in their 8s and 9 timetables. Kiddo now is finally in his 3 or 4s. And so he is frustrated. He feels like, what's the point? Everyone else has moved on. I am struggling. And then kiddo's like, and then he meets with other students that are like him in the playground. And then they start to hang out. And because they're so disengaged now, they were left behind. Now the behavior starts showing up in school. And sometimes we have very well-intentioned adults that don't know the science of adversity. Kiddo is so frustrated. He walks into a room and there's a pile of backpacks. And what did I tell you about feeling safe? You have to be able to feel like you can get away if there's danger, right? And so kiddo walks into a classroom, there's a pile of backpacks lined up that leads to the door. It's a mental obstacle. The brain signals to the child, there's something in your way of getting out. If something goes down, you can't leave, right? And so child then starts to pace because they don't feel safe. They get up. Teacher says, hey, Johnny, up here. He keeps doing it, right? And then we label this child what? Something, a behavior, but ADHD, we have all these labels, right, for this kid. Oftentimes, the behaviors of ADHD are very similar. to a trauma response. Yeah, and all we needed to do was remove those backpacks. Let the kids sit where they feel most comfortable. Another one that happens, kiddo is feeling dysregulated because a fight went down at home before they even walked in, or your client. Client walks in to see you. They went through a lot to even make it to your office. They walk in with a hoodie. It's hot. And you very kindly, out of your caring heart, say, hey, take off your sweater. It's hot. Remove your hoodie. Can you remove your hoodie? I can't really see you. And it causes them to what? Flip out. Take off your hoodie. What do you think the hoodie provides for them? Protection. Protection. Another one you see common in girls and boys now is this. Hey, what's up? Hair in the face. Protection. Blanket. Safety. Are you making the connections? Yes. So then this happens, and very well-intentioned and caring adults don't see it, that it could be trauma-rooted, and now this kiddo is struggling here. So when you struggle so much and your peers have left you behind, and the teacher says you are hyperactive, now you get sent to the office. And when you get sent to the office, now you're meeting the other kids that got sent to the office too. And now Allison and I are friends. Allison, let's get out of here. Let's ditch school. The ditching starts. They meet someone at the park. Hey, you can make a quick buck here. Just take these drugs. Sell some around here. This is where you have to go. Adoption of risky behaviors. Disease, disability, incarceration, early deaths. How early? How many years are shaved off? 20 with 6 or more ACEs. Yeah. And then I have another pyramid that shows historical and intergenerational trauma that we carry before we are even born. That's another icing on that cake. If you come from a group, a lot of us do, that have experienced historical trauma, you carry that with you.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I know that study was done for college students in middle age, middle class people.
Can I give you the microphone so they can all hear you? He's talking about a study that was done on college students.
Yeah, and
in middle age.
I mean, that's what the research was done. So I'm just thinking, so how about the vulnerable population? I mean,
Exactly.
I'm sure that all of us know that everybody has ACEs. Every single one, everybody here.
That's a great point.
Well, my question is, as service providers, like, what's the solution? What are we supposed to do? Like, how can we alleviate the issue?
So what he was saying is this, the ACE study was done on employed, on Kaiser patients, right? Kaiser patients or Kaiser subscribers have their own insurance. Typically, they're employed. And they were college-educated students. If their ACEs is this high, what do we do about the other population? If their ACEs was this high, think about the underprivileged or population that lives in poverty, homelessness, even higher, right? What do we do? The first step, and thank you for asking, give him a little prize. I love engagement. You will be rewarded for engaging. So what do we do? The first step, you're doing it. You're here. You're learning about the science. You're learning about it in 2 ways. You're learning why you are the way you are. Hopefully you're making those connections. You're having an aha moment for yourself, while at the same time saying, oh, that makes sense. Why my client is going through this. And then a simple response to that, and I love your question, what am I to do? Okay, you learn about it, you become aware, but you You get the information out, because we can't live in silos. We can't keep this information to ourselves. This is why I'm working with my college, with Bakersfield College, in getting a trauma recovery course that we can offer to sustain the work. Because I can't be here and talk to groups if no one's going to continue it, you know what I mean? And get yourself certified and be that person for your agency that's going to sustain this work. That's how we heal our community. And then it gives us compassion, because we see it now from a trauma lens instead of, oh, why do you do that? We don't point. Why are you the way you are? We come alongside them. It's not pointing, it's engaging. Hey, not what's wrong with you? What's happened to you? Let me find out. Let me sit with you for 10 minutes. Let me give you 10 minutes of my time to listen to you. And I'm going to do that providing you safety. So when you walk in this room, I'm not going to tell you where to sit. You sit wherever you want. If you want to sit outside, let's go outside. So it starts with acknowledgement, with awareness, with safety. Now that you have safety, how do you meet their basic needs? Because are you familiar with Maslow's hierarchy? Hierarchy of needs pyramid. We want to deal with what's up here. Here, read this wonderful book. No, wrong. We have to deal with what the foundation is. Meet them where they are, which we miss the point. We're well-intentioned, but because we are up here and we know what it's like to be down there, we want to help them. Hey, come up here with me, but that takes steps. And oftentimes a baby step will take a year, will take 2. But hang in there and they'll get there. They'll get there eventually. Okay, again, we shift our perspective instead of what's wrong with you to what's happened to you. So I need 2 brave volunteers. Yes, come up here. All right. So let's start with one of you first. You in black. Start with you. Okay? And you're going to start back there. Like, you know that row where Steve is? That's where you're going to start.
Where the red?
Yeah. All right, and all the rest of you, we're going to help her get up here, okay? So for any strength that you see, you're going to ask her to take 1 step. Just a normal step. For any adversity, we're going to ask her to take a step back, okay? So here's the story. We're all going to help her out. So your name is Cameron, and you're 3 years old. All right, Cameron was born to Tammy and Kevin Washington. He is the youngest of 3 children. He is 3 years old. He has an easygoing personality. His daycare provider describes him as bright, kind, and friendly. Do we see any positives there? Yes. Okay, someone raise your hand and tell me. Steve.
Well, he's bright, he's kind, he's friendly.
Okay, so his personality.
And he's easy going.
Give Steve a prize. Yay, Steve. Okay, take a step up. All right, what else? And does anybody else see something that is back there? 2 parents. Take a step up. Wonderful. Give her a prize too. You get a prize. You get a prize. Okay. Over here? Was it you? No. Yes. He is in daycare. You get a prize. Okay. What else do we see? He's he's alive. Yeah. Back there, hand. Yes, you. He's the youngest? Okay, let's talk about that. I am so pleased that you mentioned that. If you're the youngest, sometimes have your parents have they had an experience with other children? So when they got to me, I'm the youngest of 9. That's why I'm perfect, you guys. Because they messed up with the, okay, no. No, but, it's very different when you become a mother and a father at 17 and 20, like my parents were, and then you becoming a mother and a father at 37 and 40. Very different, right? You learn a few things along the way. So yes, you are right, being the youngest, yes, right here.
Keep going personality.
Yeah, that's what, Steve said. Yes. All right, let's keep reading. Let's find out about Cameron. Cameron's favorite day of the week is Friday. No surprise, so is mine. Every Friday, he is and his older siblings, Chloe, 7, Jamie, 9, get to pick a movie to watch. They have pizza and popcorn, and they have movie night. Any positives or negatives there? Yes. The family spends time together. Right here in the green. You, yes. They have choices. Their voice matters. Their likes matter. Okay? And anything else? Yes. They're being fed. There is food. Yes.
It's consistent every Friday.
It's consistent. Do children like consistency? Do they know what's coming next, what's happening next? That's one way of safety. When you know what is happening next, it's one way to keep you safe. There's no surprises. You know what's happening. Yes, over there in the black. Their siblings, they get that gift of socialization with others. Okay, let's keep going. So Cameron attends the family child care of Marissa Amore. Miss Amore recently attended a training as to the importance of helping children identify their feelings. She eagerly teaches and supports children in identifying their feelings, as she knows how important it is to reduce frustration, especially in children's Cameron's age. So if mom and dad have any struggles, does Miss Amore have any struggles? Seems like she's on top of it, right? With her child development, right? Is that something positive?
Yeah.
We can agree on that, okay.
Isn't that inconsistent though?
What's inconsistent?
Well, if the parents aren't on top of it as well, that's inconsistent.
But at least they would get that consistency. They would get that one caring adult
At school, yes.
at the daycare
Yeah,
in a very important time, right? 0 to 5.
yeah.
They have that consistency, yeah. Cameron's mother drops him off, I think that meant to say each morning, and his maternal grandmother picks him up in the afternoon. He's very close to his grandparents and enjoys spending time with them, as well as his 2 cousins who are around the same age. Any positives? Back here, yes. Role models, right here. The grandparents, yes. Do you want to raise your hand if you answer? Help Allison. Make her walking count for today.
It's very diversified in from social interaction, like, age ranges from cousins to
Yeah,
very
right here.
diversified.
Give him a prize here. Yeah, he gets to see people of all ages are supporting him. Young cousins, grandparents, right? Okay. All right. Hang in there with me, my walker. Okay. 2 years ago, Kevin became employed by the state of California as a plumber at CSUB. Oh. He and Tammy graduated from high school. Tammy works as a bank teller at Wells Fargo. She has an interview next week and hopes to promote to lead teller. What are the positives or negatives here? Yes.
Financial stability.
Financial stability. Promotion.
Their education.
Education. Do we have 1 income or 2?
2.
Yeah. Yes, right here.
And good
Working.
Probably, yeah.
The mom's working to be a leader.
She has goals.
Yeah.
She doesn't just want to be a teller. She wants to be the main one, the lead teller. Tammy's job has taught her are you walking up? Okay. Tammy's job has taught her the importance of saving. So she started a little savings at Wells Fargo, where she's been putting money away. Is that a positive?
Yeah.
Because another family stressor is what? Financial, yeah. She never wants to be in a position where money's an issue. Her father used to have a bad drinking. Okay, take a step back. And gambling issue. She remembers growing up in a home with very little. She was happy when her father finally left her mother at age 10.
That's another one.
Yeah. So he remarried, her father remarried, but Tammy does not allow Cameron to visit him as much as he lives in another state. Back up. Tammy likes the fact that Kevin allows her to run the family's finances. They get along very well. Kevin is supportive of her and protective of her and their children. They will be celebrating their 10-year anniversary next April, where Tammy will surprise Kevin with a small weekend trip to Catalina Island. Is that do well for their relationship? You know, are the kids going to be left unsupervised? Probably not. They have this village, right, to help them. Yeah, grandma, yeah. All right, come on, Josiah. Start over there. Okay, Josiah, one step up, and everybody's going to help, or one step back. Okay, Josiah was born to Chloe and Tommy Hall. He is the oldest of two boys. His younger brother, Joe, is 2. Both attend the home child care of Betty Ross. Any positives? Positives first. Yes?
Both parents.
Both parents. Take a step up. What else?
Yeah, siblings.
He's got a sibling or someone else. Yes?
All the family, the children, the baby house.
They're in a daycare, childcare. Okay? Okay. Look, you're already catching up. Josiah was described as shy, quiet, and sweet. His favorite thing to do is to play at the sand and water tables, as well as playing with blocks. Any adversity there? He's engaging in play. Is that a good thing?
Yeah.
Okay, take a step up. Oh, really hot, you guys. I see everybody. Hang in there with me. Okay, he's dropped off each morning by his mother, who rushes off to work. Miss Ross tries to comfort Josiah after his mother leaves. He throws himself on the floor and kicks when Miss Ross tries to comfort him. Anything there? He feels abandoned. Yes, so take a step back. Do we have a responsive caregiver, though? She tries. Miss Ross tries to comfort him. Take a step up. Josiah has not seen his father for the last 8 months. Step back. His father was arrested for possession of a controlled substance. Take 3 steps back, he says, and for being a felon in a possession of a firearm.
Another one.
Since his arrest, his mother, Chloe, sleeps a lot and seems sad. What is that signaling to? She recently began to drink to cope with the stress that she has been experiencing. Step back, or do we all agree?
Yeah.
Probably not the healthiest coping mechanism, right? Okay. Oh, Chloe has been chronically late to work for this reason. Her employer has been cutting her hours. Financial drain. She does not make as much as she used to, but she is looking for a second job. But she loves her children. Take a big step up. She loves her children. But she feels like she's struggling to be there emotionally for them. She no longer speaks to her family because they don't approve of Tommy, who is the love of her life. It is her opinion that they only see the negatives in Tommy. Does she have a real close relationship with her family? Does she have any support right now with her family? Not that we know of, yeah. Her family thinks they argue too much, and their fighting isn't healthy for the kids. Her mother tells her to leave Tommy, which Chloe finds strange, since her mother never left Chloe's stepfather, even after he molested Chloe.
Wow, bruh.
Chloe wants to make it work with Tommy. So she wants to work on this relationship. She believes in family staying together. She believes that Tommy is making improvements. So can we say her optimism is a strength? I think so. He is willing to go to counseling. So Tommy's willing to get some counseling once he is released from prison. He only pushes her when he is angry. And he always says he's sorry.
Those are all negative.
Chloe misses her grandmother Lou so much. Since her passing 4 months ago, Chloe feels like she cannot trust anyone like she trusted Grandma Lou. Is she possibly dealing with what? And what else? Grief. She's abandoned by her family. She's abandoned. Grandma's gone. Tommy's in jail. Is it a surprise that her coping mechanism? Not a surprise. Josiah used to be so close to Grandma Lou as well and has had a rough time adjusting to her being gone. Okay, so remember when Josiah was struggling with being left. Is he going through his own grief? At 3 years old, are you able to process? Your body feels it, but you don't know how to process those big feelings, right? Okay, now let's see these two kiddos. Which one of these two kiddos, Cameron or Josiah, do you see in your office? Okay, Josiah. Do we see Cameron at all? No, we hear about Cameron in the school newspaper because Cameron is doing so great. He's going to a robotics competition. He's thriving. He's doing amazing. So what if I said to you that somewhere there you were the intervention? Would we have had more steps for Josiah? Cameron would have still been here, but Josiah would have been maybe 3-4 steps behind, but he would have still been moving forward. Thank you, ladies. Give them a little break. And I talk a lot about childhood. I know you probably deal mostly with adults, but the children are part of the package too, right? And we need to know where it started. We need to go back. We are past the time where we just look at the tip of the iceberg. We have to go deeper. So impact on adversity, I want you to know that we need to look at many factors. The age of the child, when did the trauma happen? In CPS, when I would go out to domestic violence situations, Mom would say, oh no, the baby was in the room sleeping. The 10-year-old was playing video games. They didn't know what was going on. The baby, the 3-month-old doesn't know. So who is most impacted by the trauma? The 10-year-old or the 3-month-old?
3-month-old.
The 3-month-old, why? Brain development. Okay, what if mama is pregnant? And you go out there and mama's like, they're in my tummy, they're not exposed to anything. What do we know about the science of trauma? That it is experienced in utero. A lot of it. They're absorbing all of this. And now, don't be surprised, mom gives birth, and now we have a failure to thrive baby. Yeah. The other thing is the intensity of the trauma. Was it extreme? Was it moderate? Did it then the longevity? Did it happen for many, 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 many years, or was it a short-term thing? Because life happens, you guys. Life happens. I'm not saying, oh, live in a bubble, because you can't, right? It's impossible. Even if you have all your safety measures in place, your support system, life happens. Life happened to me, right? The pandemic happened to all of us. That same year of the pandemic, October, boom, you're diagnosed with cancer. Doctor calls me on a Saturday. Guess what? Those tests, you have a carcinoma. First of all, a doctor calling you on a Saturday, that's probably not good, right? So I was diagnosed with endometrial cancer. The science of ACEs was true for me, as it often is, right? I was able to see it firsthand. Oh, cancer. What do I do now? Was I experiencing a lot of stress? Had I been pregnant, would my baby have experienced a lot of stress? Thankfully, no, I wasn't pregnant. You know, it's going on 3 years, and I'm cancer-free, thank God, right? But the outside emotional support had a lot to do. Life happens. Life happens to our families. Life happens to us. But we have the supports, right? So that happened in October of 2020. Fast forward, not to give you any secondary trauma. Please protect yourselves from what I'm about to tell you. But in May of 2021, we were on this wonderful vacation because we were celebrating me being cancer-free and Mom's birthday. And just everybody had been vaccinated. It was a time when the government said, okay, it's okay to travel. You can safely travel. So my brother took us all to this wonderful little beach town called San Felipe. We've heard of San Felipe in Mexico. Very lovely time. We go up on a Saturday. We go back to the house after being in the beach all day. We're having our carne asada. And then my brother starts choking. Yes, protect yourself from this. It didn't happen to you. So tell yourself, this didn't happen to me, but I send compassion to her. Okay? Didn't happen to you. It was very traumatic because everyone was there, every single person. Mom, dad, all his siblings, nieces, nephews. He paid for all of us to go to this trip, and he's the one that ends up passing away. Very, very traumatic. Sorry. And so my usual support system, where were they? They're dealing with their own trauma. So my sisters that I would call, my parents, unavailable, with a sign, we will be right back, right? So yeah, that was a difficult time. And your families have it, and you have that. Sometimes you deal with your own stuff. So you're not just going to show up to work and say, here, let me turn it on. We're human, right? Yeah. And your body remembers the pain. So if you're walking in with trauma that you've experienced, for me, my body remembers that he died on May 1st. May 1st is coming up, guys, in a few days. What do you think my body is going through? It's freaking out sometimes, right? I need to provide myself additional care because my body remembers. There's a book that I highly recommend, The Body Keeps the Score. It's How Trauma is Remembered by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. It's an amazing book. You would have to put it down because what he gives you is like he gives you this steak. Here you go. Not the little morsels. So you have to read a few pages, step out, digest that process. And then, so it may take you a year, it may take you 2 years to get through this book. But the body remembers. And if you know that, and if you're working with that difficult family, and it's May 1st when your body remembers that something awful happened, are you going to be at your optimal to provide services for that family? No. This is a time when you talk to your trauma-informed supervisor and you say, you know what, and hopefully they would know, you would have already had that conversation. and they know you're not up to your usual potential. So that's going to be a day of filing for you. It's not going to be a day of direct contact. Does that make sense? Okay, stress, toxic stress. Like I said, I'm not saying that stress shouldn't happen. Stress happens. There's positive stress, tolerable stress, toxic stress. Positive stress is what I felt this morning. And this happens to presenters all the time. This feeling of, I'm gonna mess up. They're gonna laugh at me. They're gonna throw tomatoes at me. And then that positive stress pushes me. I come up here, I do my thing, whatever. Okay, so you're fine. Or the day of your interview, and it's for that position you really, really want. That thing you feel, those butterflies in your stomach. Or the day of your wedding. Anyone getting married anytime soon? Yay, congrats. Get ready for that positive stress. And then you go up there and the wedding is fabulous and everything is fine. Tolerable stress is what I shared with you. Losing a loved one, a cancer diagnosis, where it's tough, but you get through it in time and with the support of someone. Toxic stress, there ain't nobody coming. Nobody. Continues. So what does that do to the brain? Well, it puts us always, we have, and just for simplistic purposes, we have the front of the brain, which is our thinking brain, in our prefrontal cortex, and then the back of the brain, our limbic system, our animal brain, our survival brain. So a child, a family member, someone can walk into your office and you're wearing this awesome cologne that your wife just got you. You're looking sharp. Your client walks in and immediately their hands start to ball up. Their heart rate starts to speed up. Their breathing changes. And you're trying to enroll them in this wonderful program, and now and they don't know what is going on. Something as simple as a scent. Remember what I said, your body remembers of something traumatic that happened to them. And the brain says, Mary, that man by the railroad track that attacked you, who robbed you, he smelled like this. You need to get out of here. Even though we know, and this person knows, there's nothing wrong with him, he's here to help me, your body remembers and says, nope, danger, get out. And so they start to show the behavioral responses. Does that make sense? So how does trauma look like behaviorally in children? Because we know that most of our brain development happens here. I thought it was important to bring up. So they absorb all emotions, tensions in the environment, in the atmosphere, and people around them because they can feel it in the womb. So what do you see? And it has been sad, I've been observed, infants, when you hold them, they pull their bodies back. Yeah. It's so sad. Don't touch me, even at, 3 months or whatever. As they get older, look for drastic changes in their behavior. If they've already gone past the bedwetting phase, now they start regressing to bedwetting. If they no longer suck their thumbs, now they start sucking their thumb. So anything that's regressive, make sure you're looking at it closely. Preschool children, crying, whimpering, screaming, appearing to be frozen or moving aimlessly, trembling, speech difficulties, irritability, repetitive reenactment of trauma play. This is when we would get a lot of our forensic interviews. They find little girl doing what looked like a sexual act on a teddy bear or whatever. Fearful avoidance, phobic reactions, magical thinking related to trauma. Little kid telling the story. Oh, and then I jumped out the window and I flew away. That's my daughter right there, by the way. I included that picture. I love how full of joy she looks there. Elementary school age children, sadness, crying, behaviors that look like ADHD or ADD, irritability, fear of personal harm or other anxieties. Fear of the dark is an example. The big one for elementary school age children, sleep disruption, sleep problems. Resting too, bedwetting, eating difficulty, attention-seeking behaviors, trauma themes in play, art, conversation. An attention-seeking behavior would be stealing. Kiddo steals, and when kiddo steals, all these adults have a connection with him. They talk to him. What did you do? Why did you take this toy from the store? He's not seeking attention for attention's sake. He's seeking connection. So when I steal, mom comes out of her room. When I steal, all these adults pay me attention. I'm looking to connect. And it's a subconscious thing that happens. Kiddo's not saying, I'm going to steal this little toy truck so I can get, no, subconsciously. Does that make sense? Okay, struggling with learning, falling behind. They respond to the world as a constant danger, being distrustful of adults. Let me go back in case either of you want to take a picture of this. Okay. Are we doing okay? Let me check in with you. Are we awake? If you're not, if you need to get up, remember, take care of your needs, whatever is important to you. Are we hot?
Yeah.
Okay. Adolescents. They feel extreme guilt. As if, so there's a lot of self-blaming here in this phase. I could have done more for my mom. I could have done more for my dad. And then we do these things, especially to our boys, about their emotions. What do we say to our boys? What does society say? Boys don't cry. The Cure wrote a song about it. Boys don't cry. What else do we tell them? Man up! Get over it. I went to a funeral, and it was these 3 young boys, and it was a family member, cousin, a little far away relatives, but, and I heard as people were walking to congratulate this little boy, they would say things like, "You're the man of the family now." Wow. Your mom's just got you. Your mom. You should see his face. Even as an adult, that's a big responsibility, right? We give these messages to our boys. Now, what messages do we give to our girls? Mommy, that little boy in the playground pushed me. Over here, what? Oh, honey, he likes you. That's how boys act. When they like a little girl, they do things like push them because they don't know how to express. So they'll push, they'll pull on your hair. It's okay, he likes you, honey. And now, little girl grows up thinking what? If you like me, you're going to beat me up. If you like me, you're going to mistreat me. Okay. More on adolescence. A lot of it, though, what I do want to say about this population, a lot of it is totally normal. I don't want you to see something up here and say, oh, my teenager is showing this. Sometimes it is just normal part of being a teenager. I don't like you, Mom. You know, it's not a trauma response. It's a teenage response. So just take this slide with caution, okay? Mood swings. It can look like trauma, but it can also look like teenage behavior. Sleep problems. overeating or compulsive type behaviors. So what does it look like in adults? Whoa. Okay. Fear and anxiety, how do they show that? Not showing up for your appointments, or they show up late. Anger, remember, it's usually towards themselves or authority figures because you're a trauma reminder of that overbearing parent or the parent that never helped. Guilt, I am not deserving. They have heard these messages, especially our homeless population, when we walk by and we look away. Or we hold our children a little closer. These messages of everything's my fault or blaming someone else. Numbness, because it's a learned coping skill. Oftentimes, this person, especially if they suffered physical or sexual abuse, they dissociate from their body. So it takes them a lot longer for you to connect with them because they're out somewhere else. Their mind has left their body, and dissociating is one of the most harmful things we can do to our bodies. We disconnect our bodies from the emotion, our mind, our soul. It's very harmful. Sadness. So you may see some sadness trauma response. Crying, though, it's good. So instead of saying to them, oh, stop crying, it's okay, let them cry, help them sit with their feelings and validate them. It is okay, take your time, I will be here. Do you need me to leave the room to give you time for yourself? Because they may not want you to witness them crying, but crying is good. Not only does it get rid of toxins, it calms the parasympathetic nervous system. But sometimes we're afraid. We see someone crying, stop, don't cry. Right? Again, see this from a trauma lens. Questions, comments? Yes?
How do you handle it if you're the one that caused those things to happen? Like, if your child or your sister or something, how do you deal with the end result and help them get back on steady ground?
So if let's say many years ago, because you didn't know what you know now, because we don't know what we don't know, right? But now you know a simple, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't know that this had this impact. I didn't know, because a lot of times we parent with adversity ourselves. And this is how you know that you broke that cycle. And you have to have some self-compassion. And I'll give you an example. Say your child does something incredibly stupid. We all do something incredibly stupid, right? Say your child does something that's just incredibly stupid. Sometimes, if you think about it, it is something so stupid, you think in your head, oh, you idiot, you. And you want to do, this is all playing out in your head, but you don't, right? You filter, the filter turns on. You may think that, oh, feel mental. And you don't. And instead you say, Lucia, that's my kid's name. What happened? We talked about this. Okay, I need a break. I need a break right now. Mom, I'm sorry. It's okay. Have those feelings. I'll come talk to you about this, okay? And then you take a break, and then you do that, oh my God, what an idiot, and then you come back and, reconnect. You don't actually hit them, right? You don't say, you're an idiot. Hopefully not. So that's when you know that your body remembered that was most often the response that you got, but you broke that cycle, and you don't do it, you don't harm your child, right? And then everyone is fine. It's okay to take that time for yourself. It's okay that your child takes that time for themselves. And then you reconnect and then you talk about it. And so what I also want to get at, and I think maybe this is where your question is, what if they tell you years later, Like I did with my mother. Mom, you did no. Then you have those conversations and you're aware hurt people hurt other people, right? And we know that our parents was parenting different back, in the 40s and the 50s and the 70s. Every generation, this is where I want you to leave with some hope, is a little better than the previous generation. We do break cycles. You here are a cycle breaker. Give yourself a hand for that. You are a cycle breaker. Okay, how do we create trauma-informed safe spaces? If these people have experienced this, which most likely they have, right? These things here, what do we do? How do we help them? I'm a helper, I want to help. What do I do? Well, you implement some harm reducing strategies, especially with people that may have a dual diagnosis, meaning there's not only the trauma, the physical abuse, the sexual abuse, now they're coping with substances, and sometimes the mental illness can be substance-induced, or the behaviors that you see is associated, it's trauma-rooted. So how do I treat this population? How do I provide services? Well, you do it in a way to keep them from going to the back of the brain and being re-victimized. When they go to the back of their brain, the brain stem, the limbic system, they're not focused on what you're saying. They're in survival mode. So meet them where they are. Sometimes it takes taking a break. Sometimes it takes being very, very patient. And that interview may take you 3 different office visits. But because you're trauma-informed, you're okay with that. You don't see that as a barrier. You don't see that as a failure. You see it as meeting them where they are. So a trauma-informed care system, especially with dealing with homelessness, what do we have there? We recognize that our client has had trauma. We are aware of the responses. And we give them safety. We give them respect and choice. So number 1, creating a safe environment is number 1, then connection. So say with me, safety, then connection.
Safety, then connection.
Safety, then connection.
Safety, then connection.
Safety,
Safety,
then connection. This is how you do it. This is how, because our brain is a muscle, right? Just like every muscle. How many of you have gone to the gym? I see pretty strong guys here. You hit the gym. Steve's back gets all straight. You go to the gym, right? And does it happen overnight? No. It takes a while, right? And sometimes we see our clients as, I'm doing this. I gave you this awesome meeting with you, and the brain is a muscle. It needs repetitiveness. Just like those of you that go to the gym and are working on your fitness, it takes you going back over and over again. Okay, so when a client, when a family, when someone's experiencing a trauma response, they're not focusing on your wonderful words, on the wonderful pamphlet that you gave them. Nope. It's like they go offline. So what are they focusing on instead? The sound of your voice. The sound of your voice. Do you sound irritated? Are you calm? Are you the calming? Because you can actually help de-escalate them, which I heard they're doing some session on de-escalation, okay? The sound, the calming. We have these things in our bodies called mirror neurons. An example of mirror neurons is if I yawn,
I'm gonna yawn.
you're going to yawn. So we can send those messages. If you are already dysregulated yourself, you're not going to regulate that client. because you are already dysregulated. They're focusing on the sound of your voice, the look of your posture. Are you threatening to them? Are they sitting, having a hard time, and then all of a sudden you get up? Is this going to contribute to their dysregulation? Yes. The intensity of your eye contact. Look at me. No, if you can look, it's not the time to be looking at them. You look away, you give them that time, okay? The feel of a person's touch. They may not want to be touched. And so what happens is the smell, their taste ramp up because they're ready. They're scanning the environment. Every second counts. So think about this. It starts with you, really. That office visit or wherever you're meeting them, it starts with you. Is your client triggering you? Or are you triggering them? Do you walk in, because we all have this invisible backpack of experiences that we, right? Do you walk in, I'm already dysregulated. And now because of mirror neurons, you're standing off that vibe, and our clients are very adept at reading the environment because they have to do it for survival. So they can sense that your kiddo gave you a rough time this morning, and you just dropped them off, and you're agitated. So be aware of your own stuff. Are they triggering you? Are you triggering them? What is going on? Yes?
I feel like when I'm doing intakes or working with a client, I always try to take a deep breath before I enter the room with them. That way I try to like calm my own.
Yes. She shared something very, very important. I love that. Keep doing that. That when she enters a room, when she's going to interview a client, she does a breathing exercise. Do 7, 3, 6. Breathe in for 7 seconds right now. 6, 7. Hold it for 3. And then exhale for 6. You do that a few times, it resets you. Okay, now you can, right, you're a little more regulated. For those of you that have the aromatherapy balm, raise your hand if you got that as a gift. You just put that here. And make sure you don't have any allergies to the scent, because I don't want you having an allergic reaction here. You simply rub that on you. It sends a message to your limbic system, which is where your emotions live, and it sends, okay, you're okay. It's got a calming quality, so make use of that. Okay, strategies to manage your own vicarious trauma, establishing boundaries to protect you. Because if you are good, your families are good. Advocate. If you know, like I do, I went to my boss and I said, hey, I know I'm moving offices, but I get very, very startled. I get a stress, a trauma response when my back is to the door. Having experienced some ACEs myself, so I let her know when we move to my new office, I need to have that control. I need to face the door. And I need to be close to the window because that helps regulate me. It helps keep me calm. So this is when if you're able to. Of course, if your office is in a building with no windows, that's not going to be a request that can be fulfilled, right? But have these conversations with your organization. You know, and this is going to be part of the trauma recovery that I'm working on with BC, is how to create safe spaces, trauma-informed spaces, to maximize your potential and what you do while keeping you safe, because that has a synergetic, right? If you're good, you pass that on to your clients. You pass that on. You just foster wellness. End of the work ritual. End work when you're supposed to end it. And this helps having a ritual. My ritual is turning off all lights, turning off my computer, logging off. And so my brain says, we are done here today. We're not taking anything home with us today. End it when you're supposed to. Have a little ritual. Whatever that ritual is. Maybe it's playing a song. Maybe it's giving yourself a high five. I don't know. You make up a ritual, something that says to your body, in your brain, hasta la vista. Right? Vaya con Dios. Yeah. And then you're good. You have your ritual, you disconnect. So when you get home, now you're available to your loved ones. It is like this. Everything is intertwined. Because if you're available for your loved ones, you're available for your community, for your family. Yes or no? Yes. And when you're with your loved ones, is it fair on them that you're checking your email? Huh, honey, what? Let me reply to my boss. Oh, what a pain she is. No, then you're passing that stress on to your family. No. And for your own wellness, do you have a community that you connect to? It can be your church, a church group. It's very important, your faith. It can be meditation, whatever it is. It can be calling that friend that fosters your growth, that builds you up. Don't call those emotional vampires that suck the life out of you. Those friends. And sometimes it's your own family, guys. I have a trauma response when I look at my phone and I see my sister's pop up, my sister's name. I go like this. Because I know this is going to be a 45-minute phone call to an hour, and now I will get to hear all her problems and her children's problems. And if I'm feeling depleted that day, this is when boundaries are important. I don't take her call. Call the next sibling. You have 8 others. It's not going to be me. And give yourself permission to do that. A lot of us are the go-to. Raise your hand if you're the go-to for the family. Whether it's money, whether it's, hey, how do I do this? How do I apply for this? How do And so we help them, but are we also developing a codependency type relationship? I won't go too much deep into that, but okay. Ongoing to-do list. Get those things that are important. Give yourself permission to feel. Don't keep emotions bottled up. If you need to cry, you need to cry. And a trauma-informed care workplace sees a person crying and says, okay, this is what they need right now. I'll check in with them. I'll ask them if it's okay. Do they need my help? If they don't, it's okay. Because what we have done is said that emotions are bad. In our society, and we live in a high-paced society, that tells us the more of a hustler you are, the more that you go, the better you are. And it's not true, not necessarily true, right? Take time for yourself. Okay, we're wrapping up. Is your agency trauma informed? Well, let's see. I don't know. Trauma awareness. Is your agency aware of this? I would say so. You all are here. Are they sending you to training? Do they check in with you? Are they checking in with you after the secondary stress that you carry? Do they call Perla Davis and say, Perla, can you come talk to our staff about stress reduction training? I'm available. Do they take time to really focus on exercise? Do you leave your desk? Is your boss saying, okay, guys, I want you all to leave your desk. Our next meeting, outdoors. Ooh, what a concept. Don't do it outdoors in the summer, though. Not in Bakersfield. Safety. How is your agency doing with safety? When they come in, when you have traumatized clients, do you have safe spaces for their children to play? Do you have cameras so that they know, okay, someone is monitoring me? Do they have the ability to lock in their stuff somewhere? Do they have showers in indoor settings? When you meet them, do you allow them to sit or conduct the interview where they feel most safe and where you feel most safe too? Because it goes for both. Respect. Do you use their preferred names? Do you provide all your staff education on trauma? Do you allow them to identify as their chosen gender? Do you let them know, hey, this is confidential information, or this is how we share your information? Are you okay with that? Anything that gives them the power and gives them control. Someone look at you like, nobody's ever asked me that, if they cared how my information is shared. They think nothing of me, but, oh wow, you think I'm important to ask me that? It's the little things that matter. Using a strength-based approach. How do you build resiliency for them, for your organization? Are you asking them for their strengths? Are you focusing on their goals? Because they have goals. Are you working on resiliency factors, such as a positive family environment? Do you have a cooking class you do with them? Some never learned the skill of cooking. And you do that, and you involve their children, you involve their families. Any skills building services, do you offer a class like this to your clients? Because it does nothing if you're not passing down the information. If your families don't know about their trauma responses, you do, but you're not connecting with them. Do you offer this for them? Do you offer for their input? Do you offer them, hey, what do you think of this? This is what our agency, we've been talking about this at our last meeting. Let me get your opinion. Control and choice. Do they have options where they're housed? Is your behavior consistent? They have opportunities to choose where they want to be referred. Again, a place where they can lock their belongings. And do they have the input as to rules and curfews? Sometimes we get to be very, very like, okay, curfew's at 10 or whatever the curfew is. But then we have special events. We have Christmas, we have Easter, we have these events that happen. And maybe, hey, let's live a little. Curfew now has been extended for an hour, or whatever the situation. A little goes a long way. So what can I do? Again, calm, consistent responses because of these mirror neurons. Obviously, avoid yelling and aggression. This means if you are triggered, take time to be regulated. Use very simple, direct words that are easy to understand. Don't use, you know how we use a lot of our own jargon, lingo. Validate their emotions. Give them time if they need to take deep breaths, take a break. Some of you, as your gift, got some mindfulness cards. I encourage you, those of you who have received them, okay, you have the responsibility now to leading your next meeting with a mindfulness activity. These are for ages 4 to 104. Do we fall in this age range? I have them in Spanish too, if some of you want them in Spanish. It's 50 different activities. It's a way, because a lot of people, even us professionals, don't know how to do mindfulness, how to do the deep breathing. If you get these cards, it gives you the instruction in the back. And you do it. And you have a time that you do it with your clients when you're doing a meeting with them. Give messages that say, hey, you're safe. How do you do that? How is your environment? Do an assessment of your own workspace. Does it create calm or chaos? Do you have stuff hanging from all these colors? It looks like an explosion. That can have sensory, right, implications. Your client has no place to rest their eyes because you have a rainbow here and this and ribbons and da 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 da. Is it calming? Show them respect. Have your cell phone on silent or off. Okay, why is this not working? Offering them what they need the most. So think about phone charging stations. They need phone charging stations, right? Can you go back to the previous one? Whoa. The phone charging one. Okay, that's an idea. Do you have multilingual resources? A place of their own. Do you have a place where they can use a computer? You have a resource library. You have books. You have something where they can go and relax. And then remember this training. If you hit the end of the road and you say, what did that crazy lady, Perla Davis, say? Give me a call. That's part of my job too, is to do some coaching and go through and, okay, so that's not working. Why don't you try this? That's not working. Let's try this. Okay? Feel free to do that. Routines, we talked about choices and control, giving them the power and control, making them feel safe. Remember that it takes longer for a person that has experienced trauma to process what you just told them. They may give you a blank look like I'm giving you in the blue. Because it takes them a little longer. And look beneath the behavior. I want you all to take a screenshot of this one. Look underneath the behavior. If they're exhibiting anxiety, they're feeling unsafe. If they're exhibiting feelings of guilt, they need reassurance, terror, they need adult protection, acknowledgement, patience, simplification of tasks. If they're worried, they need structure. They need consistency. They need you to explain to them. Fatigue, they need sleep. You can't get someone who's fatigued to do all the things you need them to do. And if they're repetitively telling you the same story, they need someone to listen. They're processing as they tell the story over and over again. Okay, that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions or comments, and please do take my email and Allison's email and phone numbers. You can reach either one of us. If it's anything that I can handle, Allison would send it to me. If it's something for her, I'll send it to her. We work together. Okay? Any questions or comments? I hope you enjoyed it.
Good job.
Thank you all. Thank you all for hanging in there with me in this hot morning. Steve, take it away. Then I have
big hand, okay?
I have a few more of these.
I may have learned about 10 things at least. Okay, or more, right? So that's awesome. Great job. Hey, so it is 10:52, I believe, if my phone will start working. 10:53? All right, so we're going to take we'll take a 15-minute break, all right? Because we got another session coming up. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our next session. And let me introduce our presenters today. If we could grab everybody's attention. All right. Here we go. So Christian Singleton and Amanda Moran are going to bring our next session here. Let me tell you a little bit about Christian and Amanda. Christian, she started as a social service worker for Welfare to Work for the Ridgecrest District Office in November of 2014. From 2016 to 18, she helped part-time at the Lake Isabella District Office, mentoring the new hires and managing 2 caseloads. In 2020, Christian transferred over to the WTW training unit in the Bakersfield office where she is continuing to work. Amanda Moran started as a social service worker in the Welfare to Work program in January of 19. Amanda was a regular WTW case manager for 9 months before moving to the Family Stabilization Program. Amanda was an FSP SSW for a year and a half before moving to the training unit, was a WTW trainer. In 2022, Amanda volunteered to help in CPS, spending 2.5 months assisting court intake SSW before returning to her position as trainer in the WTW program. And both of them here are employed with our Kern County DHS. So let's welcome Christian and Amanda.
Right here.
Yeah, that works.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me? Awesome. So you have candy, so you're sugar, you're wired, you're good. You guys enjoying the toys too? Perfect. We might still have some on the back. So if you want some candy, toys, they're on the back. We have some candy up here as well. So again, my name is Kristen. This is Amanda. And today we're going to be giving you an overview on motivational interviewing by building rapport and evoking change talk. A couple things first. We know that many of you might have already heard about motivational interviewing, change talk, things like that. That's fine. We're not here to tell you that this is how you should do it. Instead, we're sharing methods that work in hopes that you can kind of pick up and take what you want from this presentation. If you're already doing what we're suggesting, that's great. Keep doing it, but hopefully we can offer a different perspective for you. So we have our objectives, but we also wanted to have a little bit of fun. And Jeff did something like this a few years ago, so I wanted to pay it forward. One of the main themes that you're going to hear during our presentation is change. So we wanted to ingrain that. How do we make it to where change is important so that you remember? So we're going to bribe you. So every time you hear Amanda or I say the word change, the first person who raises their hand will get this cat. At the very end of the presentation, whoever is holding the cat is going to get a coffee cup with some candy and a $5 gift card. Okay, so we're going to make sure that you guys are listening, right? Do you remember now? You did. All right, so again, the word you're listening for is change. Not yet, sorry. I knew. But again, if you hear Amanda or I say it, shoot your hand up and we'll go ahead and talk the cat at you guys. All right, so first we're going to go ahead and talk about building rapport. Okay, so rapport at its foundation is building a meaningful relationship between two people. You and your friend have rapport. You and your coworker have rapport. So now we're trying to build rapport with our clients. Okay, when you have rapport, you share mutual interest, positivity, and understanding. Okay, so what we're trying to do is make the client feel respected, heard, and seen. Having rapport will build mutual trust again, and then it increases client buy-in. When I was case managing in Welfare to Work, I noticed that the clients that I had a better rapport with were the clients that participated more, the clients that were willing to do more things to participate. So the more you have rapport with your clients, the more they're going to want to participate in what you're doing. So if you don't know how to build rapport, it can be a little intimidating, and that's fine. There's no one wrong way or right way to do it. But we're going to go ahead and share a few ways that you can start building your rapport with your client. So the first one is treat your client with respect. So start your appointments on time. If you're meeting with your client in person, make sure you're there on time. If you're contacting and doing the interview or the appointment over the phone with your client, make sure you're contacting them on time, not 5 minutes later, not 10 minutes later, at the actual start time. Your client is taking time out of their day to meet with you, so you want to make sure that you are taking the time out of your day to meet with them. Don't allow for any disruptions or distractions. So if you're doing it over the phone, it's really easy to be distracted by checking emails, checking your phone, doing other things. You don't want to do that. Give the client your time and attention. Be flexible and open-minded. Earlier we talked about maybe they skip appointments, they miss appointments. So you want to be flexible with them. Make sure that you guys can do the appointments on their time. Be confident. So you want to know your resources. You want to know the services that you have to offer to your client.
It's okay if you don't know everything, that's fine, we're still learning, we're all learning every day. But if you don't know something, let your client know, I will find out that information and I will get back to you. Self-disclosure, so it's okay to have small talk with your clients, okay? It's okay to talk with them, it's okay to use humor as appropriate, find some commonalities, and, you know, feel comfortable sharing what you want to share, but don't overshare any information with the client. Practice neutrality, so you want to avoid being judgmental. You want to not get defensive if the client is angry or upset. They're not upset at you, so don't get defensive. Kind of put your ego on the back burner. If the client is yelling at you, they're not mad at you. You want to match styles, so avoid technical jargon. In Welfare to Work, we have a lot of abbreviations. You know, we're saying, oh, EPP, then you have E-Zone, now PUX. The client doesn't know what that stuff means. So explain to them what the programs are. Explain to them everything and don't use the technical jargon. And finally, active listening. So you want to make sure that the client feels heard. You want to be present during the appointment. You can use open-ended questions to elicit further information, and we're going to talk about that further on. So we mentioned active listening. Active listening is to listen to understand rather than to respond. I'll say that again. So active listening is to listen to understand rather than to respond. You want to be present. How many times have you sat listening to your spouse, your coworker, your child, but you're thinking about other things? You know, like, oh, well, I think I'm going to have this for dinner. I might go out and do this on the weekend, or I wonder what my dog is doing at home, or my cat. You know, we do it all the time. You're probably doing it right now. But when you're meeting with your client, you want to be present. If you are truly present in a conversation, you are not doing anything else. So again, you want to pay attention. You want to withhold judgment and advice and express empathy to the parent. Client. Sorry, we use parent and Welfare to Work, so sometimes I slip. Reflect back what has been said. Make sure you and the client are on the same page. You can ask questions to understand. Summarize or restate key facts that the client has expressed. And finally, introduce your ideas and suggestions, and this is where you can shift into problem solving. So we are going to go ahead and practice your active listening skills right now. So Amanda is going to go ahead and read off 7 common household items. The first person to list them back in the correct order without writing them down is going to go ahead and get a coffee mug with candy and a $5 Starbucks gift card. All right, the 7 household items. Can everybody hear me in the back? Louder? Okay, can you hear me now? Spoon, laundry basket, bed, TV, cushion, knife, and sheets. All right, you raise your hand first. Anyone else? Bed. Next.
Laundry basket. Oh my God, I already forgot.
I'm going to try to see if you can do it in order. So I'm going to read it one more time, and then we'll see if we can get it in order. I'm just going to stand in the middle now. Okay. Spoon, laundry basket, bed,
TV, cushion, knife, and sheet. Oh, I thought you. And you do order. Do you order?
I think I heard change in there somewhere.
No. Let's try. Not yet. We know when it's coming. Oh, and then, I don't know what these are. I think we're fine not doing them. Congratulations. Now you can go home and brag about your awesome active listening skills. So we do have another game. Has everybody heard of the telephone game? Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and play the telephone game. So Amanda and I are going to go ahead and give everybody on the left-hand side here a sentence. The person can read the sentence, and then you're going to whisper it to the person next to you. That person is going to whisper it to the next person, and so on and so forth until we get to the person on the end. Once we get over here to the end, we're going to have the person at the end repeat the sentence that they heard, and then we're going to have the first person read it off to see how close they are. Any questions? Here, I'll take a... Okay, is anybody still passing their sentence? We're good to go? All right. So this first table here, do you want to say the sentence?
A bunch of yellow bananas, lunch on a blue boat.
That was it. That was it. Good job. What about you? What's your sentence?
Minions would look really weird without contact.
Very close. What's the sentence?
Minions would look really weird with contact.
And what's your sentence?
Don't move, there's a spider behind you.
And what was the sentence?
Oh.
Yeah, it's lost it just a little bit. And I think it's so it kind of repeats. Everybody had the same thing, but so it's just a fun way to kind of see how sentences and things like that get distorted. Word of mouth, everybody says something differently. So give yourselves a hand on the back. Give yourself some applause. You did great. Your active listening skills are superior. All right. So can you guys hear me in the back still? Perfect. All right. So we're going to go ahead and move on, and we're going to talk about motivational interviewing. That's why we're all here, right? So in simple terms, motivational interviewing is a method that involves enhancing the client's motivation to change. Great job. All right, so again, the game continues. So whenever we say the word, be the first person to shoot your hand up, and we'll pass the cat around. So motivational interviewing is designed to strengthen a client's motivation and movement towards a goal by exploring their reasons for change. Oh my gosh. So again, this is going to help the client overcome any barriers and essentially lead them towards self-sufficiency. And that's what we want for our clients, right? But first we have to get over ambivalence. So what is ambivalence? it's feeling two or more ways about something. And even we are like that. If we're on the fence about something, do I really want to do this? I don't want to. I kind of do. I kind of don't. So our clients are the same way. They're ambivalent for change. I saw her first. When we're directive and argue, our clients are going to push back. They're going to say, I don't need to do this. How many of you like being told what to do? Nobody. So our clients are going to feel the same way. If you go in and say, you have to do this, you have to do that, blah, 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 they're going to tune you out, shut you down, say, no, I don't. I don't have to do anything now. So you want to encourage them. A lot of people are afraid of change. Oh, gosh. So many hands. But one of the best strategies is to just let the client talk. A lot of times we're persuaded by what we hear ourselves say. So we want to have the client kind of talk themselves into making a change. Oh my gosh. Blue in the back. Thank you. All right, I hope you're ready. So now we're going to be talking about the stages of change. All right, so these are the stages. So we have pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. So if a client is in pre-contemplation, they're in denial about a problem. They're like, I don't need to do anything. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Nothing needs to change. Some strategies that you can use if you have a client in the pre-contemplation stage is to offer education. They might not know anything. They might not, have the resources. You can talk about positive outcomes that will happen. Next we have, again, contemplation. So they're aware that the problem exists, but they're not yet ready to commit to any action. Some strategies that you can use would be to identify barriers, address any concerns, and make sure that they have a support system. Next is preparation. So they're intent on taking action. They're ready. They're prepared to experiment with small changes. If you have a client in the preparation stage, again, you want to develop realistic goals and a timeline, and you want to provide positive reinforcement. Next is the action stage, and generally this is the stage that we want to start in, but the client is taking definitive actions. Again, you want to be able to keep providing that positive reinforcement to your client. Sometimes they don't have a support system to encourage them, and you're their only support system, so you need to provide positive reinforcement. Okay, and finally we have maintenance. So they're replacing new behavior or old behavior with the new behavior. Again, we want to maintain this. Now, we do have a 6-stage relapse, which is sometimes included, and it's in recognition that a person may have some lapses or relapses. And it's a perfectly normal part when we're trying to sustain and maintain change. Keeping you guys on your toes. Now, again, relapse and lapse is normal. Who started this year with a New Year's resolution? Okay, a couple hands. Who is still actively pursuing that resolution? Okay, a few of you, and that's great. I'm not. So I'm in my relapse. But again, it's perfectly normal to relapse. But everybody is motivated towards something. So this is a great opportunity to explore the client's pre-action phases with respect and curiosity. Okay, so speaking of the stages of change, think of a change you want to make. No, I think she's in the back. So, for example, I would like to have a more productive morning and evening routine. When I was working from home, I got so used to snoozing my alarm until 5 minutes before I had to turn on my computer. It was so nice being able to sleep in and not have to worry about getting ready, going through traffic, getting everything ready to go. I could just roll out of bed, turn my computer on. Now that we're transitioning back into the office, I realize I kind of screwed up. I don't have a successful morning routine. So I'm still scrambling, I'm snoozing, I'm trying to get out the door on time, fighting through traffic. So I want to have a more successful morning routine. And I've been taking steps for that. I've been getting up at 6 o'clock, I'm staying awake, terrible time to be awake, but I'm doing it. I'm making breakfast, I'm preparing for the day, I'm getting ready to go, and I'm out on time, I'm a little relaxed. You know, so based on the stages here, what stage am I currently in? I'm in action, okay? So I want to maintain that action. I do have lapses. I think the other day, I had a late start, so I snoozed until I absolutely had to get ready. But again, it's a normal part. We all kind of fall into relapse and lapses. And our clients are going to do the same thing, okay? So we have to be patient. We have to provide that positive reinforcement. So again, what indicators are present that supports my statement? So I am waking up at 6. I am staying awake and preparing everything I need to, okay? So take a minute and think of a change. I think up here. But think of something that you want to do in your own life. It can be small, it can be big, you know, but think of what stage you're in. And then let me know what indicators are present that support your statement. So I'll give everybody a few minutes. And whoever is comfortable sharing, we do have little goodie bags here of candy. So I'll give everybody a couple minutes to think of something. And if you are brave enough to share, just go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, yeah.
I think that similar to yours, like waking up early enough to like walk my dog, make the lunch.
Perfect. So where are you in the stages? Where would you be?
I'd say almost action.
Okay.
Contemplation.
Okay.
Like I wake up at 6:30 and I'm trying to wake up at 5.
Oh gosh.
I used to wake up right at 7. So, you know, a little better.
Yeah.
Not quite better.
Okay, good. Good. Thank you for sharing. All right, perfect. Who else wants to share?
Yeah, well, so I'm concentrating in that phase on my time management with my
Okay.
children. So I have work, school, kids, and I want to make time. I know there's a problem.
Sorry, I should have done this before. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
Did you want to?
Yeah, I'm not using mine. I'm in the contemplation phase, so I have an issue with time management. So I'm learning to devote time to work, school, and my kids, and I know there's a problem because I don't give my kids enough time, so I'm in that phase, but I know there's a problem, but what do I gotta do to change it? Right, so that's where I'm at.
Great job. Great job. Thank you. Who else wants to share? I got a couple people in the back. Hi, ma'am. What would you like to?
I'm in the action stage, changing my eating habits. I was weighing 192, I weigh 179 now.
Oh, congratulations. Awesome. Who else wants to share? I think again. Okay.
So I'm in the vacant stage. I was contemplating quitting my previous job. I prepared for it.
I quit it, and I'm hired here, so now maintenance, learning, training, trying to learn a new stuff.
Oh, good. Congratulations.
Yeah.
How many more bags do we have? Okay, I can take 2 more volunteers. Who wants to share I saw your hand up here first. I'll come around.
I'm in the action phase as well. I am changing my eating habits, and I have lost 25.
Oh, congratulations. Woo, congratulations. Here's some candy. All right, and anybody else? I can take one more. Okay. Our host.
All right, so I stopped eating sugar. And
Sorry.
so don't give me any candy.
Okay.
Otherwise I'll relapse.
Thank you. We'll save it for later then. But awesome. So as you can see, everybody wants to make changes. I saw her hand up first. Where's the cat? Oh, okay, perfect. So again, now we can understand that our clients also want to make changes. Oh God. I think it's somebody in the back. All right, does anybody have any questions so far? I know you're all distracted with the cat, that's fine. But are there any questions about what we've kind of discussed so far? Yes, whoever wins can keep the cat at the end, if that's more of an incentive to pay attention. All right, so if nobody has any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and let Amanda take over, and she's going to go ahead and talk to you about Change Talk. Oh. I know. Jeff, do you see? Okay. All right, you're going to hear that word a lot during this live, so it's going to get crazy in here. So change talk is speech that favors movement in the direction of change. I'll let him hold it for a second. To facilitate change talk, I saw her over here in the light. You can ask questions such as, how able are you to change? Like I said, don't get comfortable with it right now. How important is it for you to change? I did see her first.
It's probably hard to look at people words.
Yeah.
Not like her, she just said it.
How ready are you to change?
Back which one?
So these questions can help you gauge where a client is at with making a specific change. Remember, everyone is motivated by something, and we want to help the client recognize their motivation for change. One strategy for change talk is darn cat. Darn cat is a listening technique that can help a person identify key words a client uses during a conversation to help identify which stage of change the parent is in. Words that fall under darn indicate the client is preparing to change. If a client states they want to do something but they're not doing it, don't mistake that for them not wanting to change.
How did I get it?
I'm trying to pace it so you can get the cat. And words that fall under cat indicate the client is implementing change. Yeah, you'll know when the last slide is, yes. So we're going to look at it more in depth. D is for desire, so you'll hear something like, I wish I could. Oh, I didn't say change. Oh. I sure did. That word. A is for ability. You could hear, I can do that. R is for reason. If I do this, then I will have. N is for need. I need to. And for cat, we have C for commitment. I will do that. If someone says they're going to do something, then they're more likely to actually do it. A is for activation. I am ready. This is a softer form of commitment. And T is for taking steps. I did do that. All right, now we're going to practice. You can use your darn cat handout on the other side of the stages of change. If anyone's missing one, we can hand that out to you if you want to raise your hand. All right, well prepared. So we're going to look at each sentence and have someone tell us which part of darn cat the sentence falls into. You can raise your hand or you guys can just shout it out. I have to provide for my children. Desire. Not desire. Need. Good job. I have to, I need to. I will apply for that position at Amazon. I heard commitment. Yes, that's commitment. I will do that. If I find a job, I will have more money for my children. Perfect. I will consider attending the interview. Not reason. Not, no, activation, yes. Again, I will consider doing that. I attended the interview with Amazon. Taking steps, yes. I could apply for jobs. Abilities, perfect. And I want to find employment. Desire. All right, good job, everybody. Now we're going to stop for questions.
I have a question about change.
Yes.
Can we move that fan?
Oh. Yeah, can we move the fan? You can point it this way. That's totally fine. Oh, I think they wanted towards them. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. Apologize for how hot it is in here. All right, I didn't see any other hands, so next we're going to look at SMART goals. A SMART goal is used to guide goal setting. We all have goals that we want the clients to accomplish, but it's important to remember we need to meet them where they're at, not where we already want them to be at. We can use SMART goals to help the client move towards change. Our SMART goals are specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-bound. So we're going to look at those more in depth. The goal must be specific. Goals that are specific have a greater chance of being accomplished. The goal must be measurable. The goal must have criteria for measuring progress. If there's nothing to measure, then the client will not be able to determine their progress. The goal must be achievable. Again, we want to meet the clients where they're at. The goal must be realistic and within reach to get client buy-in for change. In the leopard shirt, yeah. And the goal must be timely or time-bound. If a goal is not time-constrained, there'll be less motivation to achieve the goal. SMART goals can help the client take baby steps towards change. Do you see? Where? Oh, right here? Okay. All right, so we're going to give an example from our program, Welfare to Work. We are employment services, so our job is to help parents who are on cash aid, clients, find employment to eventually be able to get off cash aid. So we discuss short-term, long-term, and employment goals. If a client has an employment goal of becoming an RN, but they don't have their high school diploma, we can discuss a SMART goal of obtaining their high school diploma. So it is specific, getting their high school diploma. It is measurable. The client will get grades, they'll have credits, and can measure their progress. It is achievable. Even if the client has a learning disability or they can't take classes during the day, Bakersfield Adult School, for example, has accommodations for learning disabilities, they have flexible schedules, and they even have online classes. It is realistic. It is within reach compared to the client's goal of becoming an RN, again, baby steps. And it is timely. When enrolled, the clients will have a timeline to graduate and get their high school diploma. All right, now we're going to look at reflective listening. So active listening and reflective listening go hand in hand. Well, active listening involves keeping quiet and hearing what a person has to say. Reflective listening involves listening and responding to what a person says in such a way as to clarify the person's meaning. To do this well, we must actively select what content we want to reflect with a goal in mind of building motivation for change. Oh, this is tough. I think so too. She's yeah, she's fast over there. For reflective listening, we will use clarifying statements rather than questions. Here are some examples of clarifying statements. I want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. What I hear is, it sounds like your primary concern is, please correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to try to review the main points we've discussed so far. This gives the speaker the opportunity to validate, elaborate, or change what they meant. I saw right here in front. Now, Chris is going to talk about open-ended questions. All right. God, I thank you for being troopers. It is really hot in here, and now we have the smell of pizza. So you're like, oh my God, hurry up. But Amanda brought up how clarifying statements can give the speaker opportunity to elaborate or change what they meant to say. Open-ended questions encourages the speaker to explore their own problems. If you're asking yes or no questions or closed-ended questions, you're not going to get a lot of information from the client. You're often going to get dead-end answers. Closed-ended questions can be, don't you think you should? Are you feeling better today? Do you like where you live? Again, this doesn't allow the speaker to elaborate, and they can just answer, yeah, no, I guess, sure. You're not getting a lot of information that way. And it does make it truly difficult to listen and understand. So some questions that you can ask: what's going on? What is it that you would like to discuss? Where do you want to be? What would you like to accomplish in 6 months? That could be a short-term goal. And what would you like to accomplish in a year? So that could be a long-term goal. Scaling questions are great too, because they ask the client to rate their goals or motivation on a scale from 0 to 10. So on a scale from 0 to 10, how important is it for you to get a job? They help direct the client toward what is most important to them, increasing their motivation and confidence. Okay, another thing that you can do is ask them, well, why are you at a 6 and not a lower number? So why are you at a 6 and not a 4? Or what would it take you to move to a higher number? So if you're at a 6, what would it take you to move to an 8? Okay, remember we're implementing SMART goals, so we don't want to immediately jump to 10. Okay, we want to make sure that they're realistic goals. So thinking back on our previous activity when we talked about the changes that we wanted to make. I think it's purple shirt again.
You can just tell me what I mean.
Hannah, right? Okay. We're building a rapport, Hannah. So on a scale from 0 to 10, how important is it for you to make that change? I think, yeah, up here. So you mentioned you wanted to make the change too. I'm sorry to put you on the spot. But why are you, so on a scale of 0 to 10, where would you be?
Maybe a 7.
Okay, a 7? So why are you at a 7 and not a 4?
I feel like because I am implementing something for change.
Okay, so you're implementing the things, perfect. And what is it going to take you to go to a higher number? So a 9, not a 10, but what is it going to take you to get to a 9?
Going to that earlier.
Perfect. So again, for me, I shared the example that I wanted to implement and have a more effective morning routine. So on a scale from 0 to 10, I would say it's a 7 for me. It's important to me because I know that it'll give me a lot less stress in the morning running around, and I can make sure everything's done the night before. So why am I at a 7 and not a lower number? Well, I just kind of explained that. Less stress for me in the morning and less stress in the evening. What is it going to take me to move from, again, a 7 to a 9? Again, we're not jumping to 10. We want to keep our goals realistic, and I think it's just maintenance. I got to keep doing it. Okay? I'm sorry to put you on the spot as well, but you had mentioned a change. On a scale from, on a scale from 0 to 10, how important is it for you to make that?
9.
Okay, awesome. So why are you at a 9 and not a 6?
Because I'm aware of the issue.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. You're aware of the issue. So what is it going to take you to move from a 9 to that 10?
What is it going to take?
Yeah, like as far as motivation-wise.
My feet to work and just do it.
Okay, yeah, just doing it. That's good. Just good. Just doing it. Okay, so we're back to motivation. So at its core, the main factor of motivation is it leads a person to doing something. Many of our clients might be resistant. They can be afraid of starting, afraid of failing. You know, kind of look at yourselves too. We're afraid to make small changes. I think it was her. You know, so we're afraid. It could also be because lack of options or lack of knowledge. So this is where you guys can come in and talk to your clients about the options, the services, the incentives that you guys have to offer. Maybe they don't know how to start. This post-pandemic fog, you know, the last 3 years was a big change. So I think in the back with the tattoo.
Yes.
So, and a lot of us are still dealing with the aftermath of the last 3 years. It's hard. It was a big adjustment for all of us. But we have the opportunity to bring up incentives or services that is going to help motivate them to accomplish their goals and, again, lead towards self-sufficiency. And that's what we want. So when talking with our clients, we have the opportunity to clarify or reframe their perceptions about the program and our role in working with them. Going back to our objectives earlier, we said that we want to build stronger relationships with our clients. We want to build rapport, something that we're doing today, right? So we want to evoke change. Okay. Having empathy will allow us to connect with others. We talked about that a little bit too. So empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. It's important because it allows us to respond appropriately to situations. So we're going to go ahead and share this video with you on the importance of showing empathy.
No! Nobody can take my rockets to the top! I'm going to the moon! Riley can't be done with me.
Hey, it's gonna be okay. We can fix this. We just need to get back to headquarters. Which way to the train station?
I had a whole trip planned for us.
Hey, who's ticklish, huh? Here comes the tickle monster. Hey, Bing Bong, look at this. Oh, here's a fun game. You point to the train station and we all go there. Won't that be fun? Come on, let's go to the train station.
I'm sorry they took your rocket. They took something that you loved. It's gone. Forever.
Sadness. Don't make him feel worse.
Sorry.
It's all I had left of Riley.
I bet you and Riley had great adventures.
Oh, they were wonderful. Once we flew back in time. We had breakfast twice that day.
Sadness.
It sounds amazing. I bet Riley liked it.
Oh, she did. We were best friends.
Yeah, it's sad.
I'm okay now. Come on, the train's...
So watching the clip, it's important detail to note that happiness would have gone in the completely different direction if sadness had not taken the time to empathize with Bing Bong. I said Bing Bong in a room full of adults. highlight of my career. But much like what happens when we don't take the time to understand the person that we're supposed to be listening to. So again, that's where empathy really, really is important. So to wrap up, the main points of motivational interviewing is to evoke change talk, increase engagement, motivate our clients, and listen to them. Are there any questions? No questions? I want to thank you all for being troopers, coming out this morning and listening to Amanda and I talk about motivational interviewing. I'm sorry, did you have a question? Okay. But again, our information was up on the board. If you do have any questions, you can come up to Amanda or I. With any questions, we'll give you our contact information, okay? Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, I just get and have that hand, all right? That was awesome. It was a great day, huh? A lot of good learning today. And we are done, but we have pizza in the back. There's sodas back there, so help yourself. You can stay and eat, or you can grab it and go. Or if you're made a commitment to not to eat pizza, then you might want to go somewhere else, right? And we don't want you to relapse. So remember, come back. We'll be here May 25th for our next seminar. And if you want to, you can go ahead and RSVP to either Destiny or Mary Scott at BKRHC, just like you did for today. And we'll see you on May 25th. Have a great day. Bless you all.